Everybody, hope your day's going well. Today we're going to learn about some popular words invented by authors. I am an author myself, although not popular. Only a small audience here in the small country of Belgium. But anyway, I do like reading. I'm first and foremost a reader, always. That's where, my heart lies. And I'm wondering if I'm going to know about some of these origins or not. It's the first time. Let's check it out.
You might have heard the uproar in March 2021 over the decision to stop publishing 6 Dr. Seuss books for racially insensitive imagery. While this may not be a tremendous loss to literature, one of those books could claim a notable linguistic accomplishment. If I Ran the Zoo, published in 1950, contains the first written instance of the word nerd. When authors create words for a one-time usage, they're known as nonce words. Though it
Yeah, I'm a nerd, yo. Also, not a fan of rewriting old books. At least, just put something in, maybe in the beginning, a disclaimer or something. But if we're gonna change history, then we're never gonna know what they were actually about. And looking at history with modern eyes and judging and all that, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay. We just checked out a video about the origin of okay. That was fun too.
kinda sounds like nonsense. The word nonce is actually a cognate of once, as in words to be used only once. However, sometimes these
Isn't that
single
like a
usage words can
slur?
pick up steam, becoming neologisms, terms that are still new and limited to certain fields. And perhaps some of those will eventually make their way into our shared vocabulary as full-fledged words, becoming so common that we totally forget their literary origins. I'm Dr. Erica Brzozowski, and this is Other Words.
Hey, come on, let's invent a word. Let's invent a word. Come on. To quone something. If you know, you know. Quone, it's a medical term.
Other words.
Okay, if we're talking about authors creating words, we have to address the 600-pound gorilla, the bard himself, William Shakespeare. At one time, he was credited with inventing over 2,000 English words, though that number has dwindled in recent years. Turns out he was such a prolific writer that his works were just the first place many scholars had seen these words. But it's likely many were already in common usage at the time. For instance,
Makes sense.
dwindle was first seen in Henry IV, Part 1. Shakespeare's lexical creativity was more about finding new and ingenious ways to use existing words. He would combine them, giving us bedroom, outbreak, and cold-blooded. He would change nouns into verbs, so gossip and elbow went from being things to actions you could do. And he was absolutely extravagant with prefixes and suffixes, sprinkling uns and aboles all over the place. Not all of his creations caught on, but he churned out verbal
wiki?
innovations with such regularity,
it back.
it's not surprising that we still use many today. Well before
Kiki Wiki. That's interesting because we have a comic book here in Belgium which has a title in it with Kiki Wikis. Maybe the author of that comic book, was paying a little homage to Shakespeare. But in that comic book, the Kiki Wikis, they're basically aliens, right? Hey, let's go. And also, that's if if you believe Shakespeare was one person. Well, how do you stand on that? How do you fall on that? You believe there was multiple authors just taking that name or pen name, or you what do you
any today.
Are you into conspiracies?
Well before Shakespeare, the English poet Geoffrey Chaucer, famous for his Canterbury
Hey.
Tales, wanted to
Yeah,
describe the
legendary
light,
stuff,
tremulous
man.
call an encaged bird makes as it yearns for freedom, and came up with the onomatopoeia Twitter. 700 years later, we're the encaged birds tweeting our takes into the void. In
Twitter's dead.
1667, John Milton published Paradise Lost, an epic poem and origin story of the ultimate archvillain, Satan.
Classic.
He envisioned hell having a capital city, which he named Pandemonia. The meaning has shifted since then to describe a state of chaos where all hell is broken loose. But the original,
That's such a
literal
great word.
definition was the place where all the demons lived. By the way,
I like that. I'm gonna have to rewind this.
original,
And so many, just now it's about words, but these authors, so many stories of today are just retellings of Shakespeare or Canterbury Tales using the same literary device of the letters and then of course Paradise Lost. Oh, Yeah. A lot of stories are just retellings of that, man. Yeah, love it. Love it.
And to describe a state of chaos where all hell is broken loose.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
original, literal definition was the place where all the demons lived.
That's nice. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, man. I love that. I love this kind of stuff. You know what a great word is, too? I don't know who invented it, but, and excuse my bad language. Skip 10 seconds ahead if you don't like that, but clusterfuck. I always. Now, that's a great word. Come on, man. I love to use it whenever it's, when stuff's going down and it feels like then we got to use it. Come on.
By the way, Archvillain is one of Shakespeare's creations. A couple hundred years later, Sir Walter Scott was writing his chivalric romance Ivanhoe, considered a major influence on the modern version
Never
of the
read that
Robin
one.
Hood story.
I've never
He
read
wanted
that
a
one.
new term for hired mercenaries, soldiers without loyalty to any banner, whose lances were free to fight for whoever could pay the most. So he called them freelancers, and the term caught on to describe people who work job to job for different clients.
Nice.
It's definitely more colorful than a lackluster contractor, but still a weirdly violent term for someone who designs corporate logos. Oh, and lackluster? Another one of Shakespeare's. Lewis Carroll's poem Jabberwocky is a multitudinous sea of nonce words. Okay, well, we get it. Many were created by melding two existing words together to get something that almost sounds like a word you already know. For instance, chortle is a combination of chuckle and snort. And galumph was supposedly a triumphant gallop. Both of these words
Galumping.
managed to
You see that one.
transcend
Yeah,
Wonderland's
I've seen
borders
that
into
one.
the English dictionary. I guess if you buy that many lottery tickets, you're gonna win something. When preparing his 1840 volume, The Philosophy of the Inductive Sciences, Reverend William Whewell wanted a single word to refer to a practitioner of the scientific method, and he came up with scientist. Just think, if you'd gone a different way, you
word.
might be calling them sciencers or science-smiths or
Scientician.
Speaking of
Scientologists?
scientists, when physicist Murray Gell-Mann theorized the existence of subatomic particles in 1964, he named them quarks, inspired by a nonce word that James Joyce came up with for his 1939 novel Finnegan's Wake. Like most of Joyce's writing, I have no idea what the original meaning was supposed to be. In 1920, Karel Čapek wrote a science fiction play about humanoid machines constructed to perform manual tasks. He borrowed a Czech term for forced labor, and robot quickly left the world of science fiction to describe real-life automated machines that work for us. On a related note,
For now.
most people think that Droid originated in 1977's Star Wars, but its first appearance was actually in the 1952 short story Robots of the World, Arise by Mari Wolf. I don't know if this counts as a new word though, since it's really just a shortening of android, which comes from the Greek for man-shaped. Also, Lucasfilm trademarked the term, so if another author wanted to use it, they'd have to cough up some Republic credits for it. Moving from sci-fi to
Damn.
fantasy,
Come
J.R.R.
on, man. You can't be trademarking words now. Lucas, you rascal.
Tolkien used the word tween to describe the period in a hobbit's life between childhood and adulthood, roughly 20 to 33. Today, we use it to refer to pre-adolescence because of its similarity to teen. Since teenager wasn't really popularized until the late 1950s, Tolkien was probably just shortening between, or combining it with 20s. However, hobbits did live over 100 years, so maybe the definition hasn't changed that much. One more scientician for ya. In 1976's The Selfish Gene, biologist Richard Dawkins wanted to express how culture could be shaped by a process not unlike natural selection, that ideas and thoughts could survive and replicate based on their fitness. He needed a word for a unit of culture that could spread, so he took the Greek word for imitation and condensed it to sound like the word gene. Though now we mostly use this term to mean visual jokes that you post online,
shall not
it
pass.
originally meant any shareable idea, style, or behavior, from religious beliefs to fashion trends to new words. That means the word meme is a meme. Like biological genetics, it can be very difficult to discern why some nonce words survived and spread while others didn't. Why did nerd become a household word and not its neighbors preep, prue, and nurgle? Maybe it just sounds better. Though some suspect Seuss simply stumbled on a slang for nut that was already becoming popular. It's impossible to know today. Yes, Will, you can take credit for household word. One thing is certain, a single writer can coin a word, but they can't make it popular. All of us, collectively, through our behavior and interactions, get to decide what becomes a real word and what stays literary nonsense. But its first appearance was actually, and then but its first
That was a blooper.
I need to make sure I'm not crying. Okay.
Hey, this is a well-made video, really fun. The animation and stuff. I had known the origins of these words, so yeah, really educational and making it fun. It's infotainment. I didn't invent that, but it's another one that's popular. Maybe with the internet? No, maybe before that. Infotainment, internetainment. That's another one I've heard. If you ever watch Good Mythical Morning, they use that a lot over there. Fun show. And thank you for being here, everybody. Hope to see you in another video. Peace.